As a Japanese person, it's always fascinated me to hear foreigners talk about anime, manga, and other Japanese media. It makes me proud that Japanese media is being consumed around the world, but also a bit confused. I've always wondered if people get the Japanese puns, jokes, and other references and think how much more enjoyable it would be if everyone understood the jokes. I recently talked about Animal Crossing in my video on gender inclusivity, and although New Horizon is the most internationalized version of the game thus far, it still doesn't change the fact that Animal Crossing is originally a Japanese game. There's still a lot of what's called cultural odor left in Animal Crossing. So today I'm going to walk you through some of the Japanese references in New Horizon, so hopefully you can enjoy and appreciate Animal Crossing even more. Let's first start with the special characters of Animal Crossing. Now you might think, they're animals. How could they be culturally specific? Well, let's start with our boy Tom Nook. He's called Tanukichi in Japanese, and he is a tanuki, also known as a Japanese raccoon dog. As you might guess from the name, this is a species unique to Japan. Tanuki are frequently featured in Japanese folklore as mischievous shapeshifters, often playing tricks on humans. So being in huge debt to Tanukichi is actually supposed to come off as suspicious, and it's meant to be unclear in the beginning of the game whether you're meant to trust him or not. However, tanuki aren't the only animals that trick humans. Foxes, called kitsune in Japanese, are also tricksters and deceive humans, so it seems appropriate that the fox would be the one in charge of the black market. An interesting note, both tanukichi and tsunekichi have a leaf motif apron. This is because foxes and tanuki must put a leaf on their head before they can transform. So okay, these animals frequently come up in Japanese myths, but at least they're not mythological creatures. If you're not Japanese, you're going to be thinking, what the hell is this weird green creature? Well, according to the Animal Crossing wiki, he's considered a turtle outside Japan, but he is actually a kappa. Kappa are mythological creatures that are green, human-like things. They have webbed hands and feet and have a shell on their back like a turtle. They live in rivers and like cucumbers. There's also a dish on top of their head which retains water while they're on land. The kappa character used to play a pretty important role as a driver of various forms of transportation in the Animal Crossing universe, but so far he hasn't shown up in New Horizon. Maybe this is in order to globalize the game. There's also the ghost, which, I guess a lot of cultures have ghosts, right? But it's this bit, this triangle bit. This is such a Japanese ghost thing to do. This little bit used to be a part of an old traditional funeral garb, and nowadays it's not really a thing, but Japanese ghosts are still portrayed with this triangle on their head. Let's move on to Shizue-chan, also known as Isabella. She's a dog, okay? How could there be anything Japanese about her? Well, to be honest, that entire town hall interior is so Japanese. Like, do you not see the bento hanging from the side of her desk? Don't argue with me, that is clearly a bento box. But anyways, Isabella's uniform is a typical Japanese office lady uniform. Yeah, it seems pretty old-fashioned, but you'd be surprised at how many Japanese companies still have a uniform for their workers. Okay, so that covers the special characters. What about the villagers? There's some pretty obvious references. For example, there's a cat called Kabuki who has a Kabuki face paint style design. But what about this? Like, why is this mouse wearing a bandana that's tied around under its nose? This is a reference to Nezumi Kozo, which was a nickname given to a very famous Japanese thief. Nezumi Kozo meaning mouse boy, essentially. And thieves in olden time Japan used to tie their bandana in this particular way because it was meant to disguise their identity. I don't know how effective that was, but that was the idea. There's also this guy who's designed after a takoyaki. Takoyaki is like a ball of fried batter with octopus inside. So yeah, Japanese food reference. There are also a number of Japanese song references. There's this cute Japanese kids song where a dog police officer tries to help a lost kitten get home. So in Animal Crossing, the police officers are dogs, and there's a kitten that occasionally wanders into your village and you're meant to help her reunite with her mother. Unfortunately, these characters haven't shown up in New Horizon yet, but maybe they will in the future. There's another Japanese song reference. Yuki-chan and Sumi-chan are two goat villagers. They're best friends and have each other's pictures in their homes. This is a reference to a song in which a black goat and a white goat are pen pals, but they keep eating each other's letters before reading it and send a letter back saying, "Lol, sorry, what did you say in that last letter?" Moving on from the characters, there are definitely a lot of clothing and furniture inspired by Japanese culture. And there's a ton of this stuff, so I'm not going to go into detail. Some other things to mention: the turnip market. So turnips are very special in Animal Crossing. You buy them for a certain price and their value either increases or decreases. And it's up to you to find the optimal timing to sell your turnips. Essentially, it's like buying and selling stock. Funnily enough, the word for turnip in Japanese is kabu. And although the kanji is different, the word for stocks is also kabu. So the turnip market is a pun that means the stock market. Another thing, in New Horizon, you have the ability to wish upon a shooting star. And after you make a wish, you find a star on the beach. But actually, these aren't stars. These are konpeito, traditional Japanese candy, which kind of look like stars. Another very Japanese thing in Animal Crossing, which unfortunately doesn't exist in New Horizon, was the haniwa. Haniwa are clay figures that were buried with the dead as funerary objects back in the 3rd century AD. So these are Japan-specific archaeological items. So in the older versions of Animal Crossing, alongside fossils, you could dig up haniwa. And they used to be so much fun. They were different colors and heights, and you could put them in your house and make them sing. Unfortunately, in New Horizon, you can no longer dig up haniwa. But when you're constructing something new on your island, you can get a glimpse of a haniwa with a construction helmet on his head. Some specific things you might notice if you're playing in Japanese. The Nintendo Switch knows where you are in the world, so if you choose to play the game in Japanese even if you're not located in Japan, the villagers will compliment you and say, "Wow, you're very good at Japanese." And in the Japanese version, the seagull that sometimes washes up on shore isn't called Gulliver, he's called Johnny. He has this cute little sailor's outfit, and if you help him fix his phone, he'll give you a present. In Japanese, Johnny clearly speaks like a foreigner and kinda has this flamboyant character. Johnny is meant to be an American sailor that washed up on shore. There's also the way Animalese works. In the English version of Animalese, each character has a catchphrase. And to be honest, it kinda comes off as unnatural. But in Japanese, character quirks are more smoothly integrated into the overall Animalese language. If you watch any anime, I'm sure you're familiar, but there are multiple ways to refer to oneself. Pronouns are very flexible, so you can infer a lot about a character just from the way they refer to themselves or refer to you. You can also alter the end of a sentence to show your personality. And as much as the English translation tries, it's difficult to get the full experience of character expression if you're not playing in Japanese. So these are the things that I picked up on when I was playing Animal Crossing New Horizon. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about some hidden references, and let me know if you think there's anything that I might have missed.